Welcome to the DL Boxing Podcast. I am your host, Coach D, along with my co-host, neighborhood hero Ryan Rios, and Bad Chaz, where we talk about the sport you and I love, boxing. Well, guys, welcome back, guys. How you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing excellent, man. How you been?
So I'm doing great, man. I had a great week.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
Same, man. Good. I can't complain.
Right? Positive family. Vibes.
Positive vibes.
Positive
man.
vibes. And you know what? It doesn't get any more positive than our guest tonight. Special guest. Let me introduce him. Working out of the Zoom corner. From Planada, California. World renowned as the Cutman in the business. Ladies and gentlemen, Jacob Stitch Duran. Yeah. Welcome, Stitch.
Welcome, man. Welcome.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, we're very thankful to you for making the taking a time out of your busy schedule to join us on our podcast. So we greatly appreciate that, Stitch.
No, I love it, man. I love telling stories because I got a whole bunch of them, bro. So,
yeah, that's good.
So don't fear. If you got questions, ask them because I probably got good at it.
Fantastic. All right, Stitch. So let's start off from the beginning. Our viewers would like to know what was the journey behind you eventually becoming one of the world's most renowned cutmen in the game. What was that journey like?
Well, you got number one, you got to read the book From the Fields to the Garden, 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. That's available at Amazon. And actually, they're filming a documentary on my life right now as we speak, based on the book. But going fast forward or rewind all the way back, you were talking about Planada, California. Yeah, it's the little town I grew up in, and town I'm very proud of that gave me the motivation. But originally, I lived in a migrant camp, CPC number 12 for the California Packing Company number 12. And then my parents, we were all farm workers from Planada, just, like your town, Tulare County, they're all farm workers, right?
Yeah.
And so baseball was our thing, right? On Sundays, especially in the summertime, you get the farm workers that come in from Arizona, Texas, New Mexico, and you'd have your Sunday pickup games, right? And 13, 14, 15 years old, I'm playing with these men. And, my dream was always to continue my career in baseball. So when I graduated, I walked on to Merced College, and just 9 miles away from Planada, right? But I had to have a car. And so I would go to school with friends, and I would stay in at practice. And after school, they would leave. After practice, I'd have to hitchhike home. And, you know how we are, man. The Raza real proud, and don't want to ask about grants and scholarships or naive. Now, I'm not going to say proud. It was kind of dumb on my part. But I didn't know about grants and scholarships to continue my education. So I joined the military. I joined the Air Force in 1972. And as a matter of fact, going back, I was going to go in the Navy because my brother Michael was in the Navy. And I went and did my physical in Fresno. And the doctor's checking my knee, and it pops. It goes, pop, and that was, I slid into third base, so I kind of jacked it up, and he told me I had to have surgery. It kind of blew me away, right? And so I was kind of bummed out and all that. But the Marine recruiter, never got the guy's name, man, but he tried to influence me and my two buddies, Marshall and Chulo, to go into the Marines. And he picked us up from Planada and took us to Castle Air Force Base and showed us what the way that the Air Force guys were dressed compared to the Marines. And I say, hey, man, that's fine. I just don't want to go to Vietnam, And so he's the one. He's the one that a Mexican guy, never got his name, bro. It's in the book. But he's the one that said, look, man, I'm going to send you for your physical to Oakland. And just don't say nothing about your knee. And here's a ticket. And I went and passed and joined the Air Force. And but in doing that, I always told myself, this was during the Bruce Lee era, that if I went to the Orient, I'd want to study the martial arts. And lo and behold, 2 years later, 1972, they stationed me in Thailand. And being a young guy, I didn't even know what Thailand was, culture-wise or anything. And I had friends that were there like 3 months before me, and they were already acclimated. So they invited me downtown to Ban Chan to see some Muay Thai fights, and this guy throws a kick and knocks a guy out. Said, I'm in. So on the base, what did I know, right? On the base, they had Taekwondo. Well, Taekwondo sounds like Thailand to me, right? And it was a Korean sport, but I didn't know. So I started training in that and the gi and all that. And the Koreans left and the Thais took over the program, and we still train in gis, but they transitioned us into the Muay Thai style with Taekwondo kicks and all that. So it became very effective, and got back to the States and, got into boxing to improve my hands, and started working with amateur fighters, and moved to the suburbs, Fairfield, California. I opened up a school of kickboxing with just a credit card. And from there, I had trained kids and all that, but trained a lot of badass kickboxers during that time. Javier Mendez was one of the guys from AKA. I worked with him, when he used to fight on Scott Coker's cards, but I had some real good fighters, and that's how I got going. I was a trainer. I managed the fighters. I promoted 3 fights, but I also wanted to learn to be a cutman. That was part of the growing thing. So then it was only boxing, and I just told this story yesterday, and I tell it often, but I've never throw the guy's name out. This was at Richmond, California. This was boxing. This was before the UFC. Kickboxing and boxing was the only things. And Marvis Frazier fought Bone Crusher Smith. I'll never forget. And this guy did a good job on working on cuts. So I went out to him after the fights and said, "Hey, I'm trying to learn to be a cut man. Can you tell me what you did?" He says, "Excuse me." He said, "Fuck you. I'm taking this to my grave, and you got to learn like me." And he walked away.
Oh, wow.
And I felt about this big, bro.
Yeah,
but that just kind of influenced me not to be like this guy.
Perfect.
And I go back to Oakland plenty of times with Andre Ward, undisputed champ. And I've told this interview many times, but I've never thrown his name out because it's not important. But now him and his son want to take pictures with me because my status kind of went up a little bit, right? So that was redemption for me. And but that's how I got started. And it was boxing only. And when I moved to Vegas 28 years ago, I came here just to be a cut man, not to be a trainer, because I thought all the great trainers in the world were here, right? But I'm in the gyms and I'm seeing guys do pad work, and I said, man, I could do that, and I could do that, and I could do that. And so I had a job with RJ Reynolds 825, but I was flexible in my hours. They would call me to do pads, so I'd get off work and go do some pads and go back to work. And but I worked with Mike McCallum, Johnny Tapia. There was a bunch of guys that I started working with, but I couldn't be a full-time trainer. I couldn't give you 150% because that's what's required, right? Because I had this job with RJ Reynolds. But I did pad work for a while, and then the UFC came around, and I knew Dana way before the UFCs, and he's the one that asked me. I was doing a K1 fight at the Bellagio. Chemo fought Bob Sapp, never forget, because I used to work when Scott Coker promoted K1, and he would bring me in as a cut man. And Dana was in the audience, and he asked me for my card. And the next day he says, "Hey, look, man, we bought the UFC. You want to be a cut man?" Originally, the only cut man there was Leon Tabbs, the legendary cut man of mixed martial arts, a godfather from Philadelphia. But they brought him on board. And Dana and Lorenzo and Frank were smart enough to realize that MMA is such a new sport that these guys don't know how to wrap hands, or they don't know how to work cuts. So let's bring in boxing cut men. So in that aspect, he changed my life, and I got to work with the best fighters in the world, and I still do, So yeah, it's been a fun career, bro, and just the things that come with it, the benefits that come with it. I got my own trading cards. I got like 3 or 4 different type of shirts from Zions, from Tap Out, from Bad Boy, and I just got all kinds of crazy. My own line of tape and KO swells, and just finished filming Creed 3 with Michael B. Jordan. That's like my 7th movie. But I'm still that little Chicano from Planada, bro. And that's what inspires me. And like you guys, inspiring other people. As a matter of fact, for the documentary, I'll let you guys kind of let you know what I just did, whether it's going to happen or not. But nonetheless, people always mistake me for Edward James Olmos, right? Yes. All the time. Well, we're friends. We did an independent film together. And so I checked with Danny Acosta, the director, what he thought about getting Edward James Olmos as a narrator. So being that I did the film with him, and I sent him a message just about an hour ago to see if he would be interested in being the guy that represented my film through narration. So you guys are the first ones to hear about it, man. My wife and you guys, but that way you throw that good karma out, right? And absolutely. Hopefully it works out. But listen, I interviewed Little Joe from Little Joe y La Familia. you know, because growing up as farm workers, he was the staple music for the Chicano movement, you know.
Yeah.
And so I went to a concert in Laughlin, Nevada, and then I saw him again in San Antonio. And so I interviewed him. I interviewed Michael B. Jordan. He came through and he gave us a great interview. The guys don't tell me what he said, but I know he said some good stuff. It was like 30 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And Cain Velasquez, you know, you know, we all know Cain, right? Exactly.
Yeah, right.
So, you know, we got a good selection of raza. We went back to Planada and we filmed with drones and in the fields, and the farm workers interviewed some of the farm workers, and the guys I grew up with in the migrant camp were still friends, you know, Chulo, Rudy, Noe, you know, Ray Gonzalez, we're all still, so all these guys, my family. So now they're working on the trailer. And so I'll keep you guys updated as we go.
Can't wait.
But that's my life. Me qué loco, ¿verdad?
Yeah, okay, look, that's very inspirational, Stitch. That's awesome. And with that said, so you being a trailblazer in the whole game, the trainer Cutman game, and being an inspiration to the Latino community, how do you feel? That a lot of Latinos are actually following in your footsteps.
You know, if that's a good question. Nobody's ever asked that, but I'm going to answer that because I noticed is if you look, a lot of these top Cutmen son Latinos. Yeah. Not to be partial or anything like that, right? And but I also mentioned, because of what this guy told me years ago, F you, I'm gonna take it to my grave. And that was the old mentality of boxing, right? Well, I'm a martial artist by trade, so my job has always been to teach, right? So I always try to direct people in the right way. And I tell people, like Keith Hunter, young upcoming boxer, Michael Hunter's brother, Keith Hunter, I asked him at the gym the other day, I said, hey, man, who's your cut man? And he said, I ain't got one. I said, well, look, man, here's what you got to do, bro. You got to question him because you are the boss, right? Yeah. And so you ask him, the medication that we use, the primary medication that we use is the adrenaline chloride 1000, the one we put in the bottle and you put on the cut, right? So, and I've asked many cutmen this, but I said, ask that cutman, what is the function? What does the adrenaline chloride 1000 do? And first thing he says, like everybody else, it stops the bleeding. Yeah, I know it stops the bleeding, but what are the mechanics? Give me the mechanics, what they are. So I'm teaching this young guy to ask these people. So the adrenaline chloride, when you put it on the cut, it's a vasoconstrictor. So it closes up the blood vessels. Like, it's a coagulant and all that, but it's a vasoconstrictor. So that's what I taught this young man to ask these guys. But now you're talking about the Latinos that are doing what we do. Rudy Hernandez is the one that created the wrist wrap. All right, because another thing I told Keith, I said, look, if the cut man you want to hire if he puts the swab here or he puts it here, bro, get another cut man. That's old school. Yeah. The young ones, and especially, the guys you're talking about, they have the wrist wraps, they put the swabs here, right? They have the Vaseline that they'll put here, they'll work it this way. They got the small towels they'll work. They got the KO swell where it's direct pressure, it's not moving it. There's so many mistakes that are done as cutmen that we try to improve it for the sake of the fighters.
Right.
So yeah, that's a good question. And to me, it makes me proud to know that, these guys are following in my footsteps and taking care of fighters. Absolutely.
And although it may sound obvious, Stitch, but tell us how you picked up that famous Stitch moniker, man.
That's it's pretty cool because nicknames are given to you. You don't make your own name, right? So when I had my school of kickboxing, if you remember the movie Bloodsport with Jean-Claude Van Damme, Dennis Alexio, that was the brother in the wheelchair, he was an actual kickboxer, badass dude, best athlete I ever met in my life until MMA guys. But he won the championship in light heavyweight, super heavyweight. He was just a bad dude. But he was fighting in Vallejo, California, and one of his sparring partners, David Rooney, was fighting also, and I worked David's corner, and David got a small cut. Knowing now what I know now, it was a small cut, but and I was learning to be a cutman. I didn't have medications, so I just kind of pinched it, for a minute, let it stop bleeding on its own, and then I saw what these old cutmen would do is they would get tape and rip little pieces of strips like this, butterfly. So I closed it and I butterflied it. And he says, man, I don't have to go to the hospital. You save me some stitches. I'm going to call you Stitch. And right now, David Rooney, I don't know if he knows how much he just kind of changed my life. Last thing I heard, he was a fisherman somewhere in Alaska. right? And it's funny because people call me by, Stitch, Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Man, that's awesome.
Right. There's always
that's
a story
awesome.
behind that. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to hand it over to co-host, neighborhood hero Ryan Rios to ask you some questions, Stitch.
God, Stitch, man, you're such an inspiration. I come from a little town too. We were talking earlier, about Tulare County. I come from Strathmore, California, which is maybe 2,500 people. And it's just, man, you're a huge inspiration, my hat's off to you. You're also a veteran. I mean, God, you just pretty much, surpassed a lot of people like in this era of Cutman. You know what I mean? You're just the icon of a Cutman business. Not only did you, work at the UFC, you're also like the top Cutman for boxing. There's not a whole lot of people that can say that you were the top for both. But
just like the book From the Fields to the Garden. My goal was the fields were the fields, right, where I work. And the garden was to make it to Madison Square Garden. Well, I've been there for more boxing than MMA, bro.
Yes, I know. Yeah. And actually, I just purchased your book. It's on the way right now, so I'll be reading it shortly. You know what I mean? And I can't wait to read it.
It happens, I just think people come to me like Zach Robinson that wrote the book. He contacted. This was during the era when Tito Ortiz and Chap Liddell and Randy, they're all having books written on them, right? Well, Zach contacted me and asked if I'd be interested in doing a book. And I'm the kind of, you want to do it, let's do it, So it turns out that he was a teacher in Germany, still is in Germany. He's a teacher for the military kids. But the way fate has my life is 2 weeks later, I was going to be in Germany anyway with Vitaly Klitschko. And so I met Zach, and he played baseball. He's from Oklahoma. He played baseball like me. I played baseball. We hit it off right. We shook hands, and he wrote the book, and it became a top seller. So, but I appreciate you getting it.
Yes, I mean, and I didn't know there was two. You told me now that there's a sequel, right?
What I don't like sequels, right? And I've done Creed 3, but this was after the UFC let me go. And people kept asking about another book. And I said, nah. And then Zach called me and said, man, what do you think? Bring out the story about what happened to the UFC. And, and then other great things that happened during that time where I wrote the first one and finished the second one. So it's been continuous, but it's a lot of great stories, man. A lot of great stories and behind the scene actions of what we deal with fighters. How we deal with fighters, and what goes on behind the scenes and all that. So it's very inspirational.
Stitch, I remember one time I was in Las Vegas and I can't even remember who the main event was. I'm not a big UFC guy, but somebody gave us some free tickets and we were in Vegas. So we ended up going to the fight. And it was shortly after that ordeal, with Reebok and you not being able to wear your sponsors on your shirt. And I want to say it was when the main event was about to start. And I don't know if you ever heard of this story, but the crowd started chanting, "We want Stitch. We want Stitch." And the whole entire arena was saying that. And it was just amazing.
I heard that.
Yeah, and it was just amazing. And it was just a great experience to witness. And I can't believe you never heard that, but man, it was just, it just gave me chills. And
it gave me chills right now, bro.
Yeah.
I've had some great moments with the fans and the support from all over the world. It's still happening. I've been everywhere, all over the world I go to, somebody will stop me and say, you know what, props for speaking up and this and that. But the best compliment I got was during the COVID, we did boxing at the MGM in a bubble. And Luis Doria, that used to train Anderson Silva, top trainer, Brazilian trainer. He's working with a Brazilian boxer, and we're having lunch, and he comes up to my table, and he says, "Steve, we, the coaches, the fighters, we thank you for speaking up because we couldn't." Bro,
oh, wow.
That's it. Wesley Snipe comes up to me, hey, shakes my hand, "Hey, man, UFC did you wrong." I had one of the young ladies, young prince in Dubai, "Hey, man, F Dana, bro, I got a lot of respect." But, that meme, the Stitch and I were never friends, that still continues, bro. It's so people have never left. But let me tell you what happened, how it happened. I'm sure you were going to ask, or maybe you didn't. But, I've always sponsored. Yeah, of course, the Reebok deal, they took all the sponsors away from all the fighters. And then they called the Cutman in. They took us out, our sponsors out, and went exclusive with Reebok. And fighters were hating it the fans, the media. It was horrible. And the guys were making 50, 100 grand a fight. I was making major bank. I needed the UFC because they were paying garbage. And they still pay garbage right now for Cutman, believe me. The ring girls get paid more than they. Ain't that something? So, but I needed the UFC to make my money through sponsors. And so they got us, and then they would, like say, Tap Out. Tap Out would come to me, Bad Boy, Zions. They would come to me. I would negotiate my deal with them. And I said, well, look, what about Leon and what about House? And so I would get them sponsorships also, right? But all that comes back to me growing up as a farm worker when my parents were there during the Cesar Chavez era. Mm-hmm. And you being from Tulare, that area, Chavez, my parents, we all walked from Planada just a couple miles to support them on their walk to Sacramento. Mm-hmm. So my parents were always into the movement, and John Nash from Bloody Elbow called me. I never met him, don't read the website, but he called me and asked if I'd be interested in doing an interview of how the Reebok deal affected the Cutman. And I thought about it, and I said, man, if I don't, my parents wouldn't be proud of me. So the interview was very politically correct. I know. Yes. I worked at R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company 28 years. I know how to lay it out, but it went viral all over the world and just crazy. And I'm getting support from all over the world. Yes. Fighters, people working in the UFC, promotions, they're offering me jobs and all that. And so my wife and I, like a week later, we're in Costco, and I'm getting hundreds of messages, bro. We're in Costco, and I get a call from one of my friends, Jesse, and he said, hey, man, can you talk? And I knew what it was about, right? Because it was the boiling point. I said, no, I'm in Costco, man. Give me a call in an hour. So I get home, and right where I'm sitting at right here, bro, Mark and Jesse, my friends, we're friends. We're all friends. We grew up together. Or we in the UFC together. Mark's voice is cracking, and he says, the only thing he says is because of the interview you did about Reebok, the UFC is not going to use you no more. And bam, I took a shot, but I kind of prepared for it. I said, all right, well, Mark, you do me a favor. You tell Dana I said that he ain't got no balls, that he should have called me personally since he's the one that brought me in. Right. So I get off the phone, and the first text that I read is a guy named, now I know it's David Estrada. Don't know where he's from, but I respond, I want you to be the first to know. UFC let me go for speaking out about the Reebok deal. Now I got to find a new job. And bro, that shit went viral. I did like 57 interviews in 1 week. I had camera crews coming to my house. It was the biggest thing since OJ.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
And then if you guys remember, a couple of weeks later, the UFC is having their first major show on Fox Network. And Karen Bryant is interviewing Dana. And with the conversation, well, what about Stitch Duran? Is Stitch ever coming back? It was that big. No, Stitch will never be back. Dana, right? Yeah. So. And then at the end, he does the stupidest thing in his life. He says, Stitch and I were never friends. Yeah. And that shit is still haunting him, bro.
Yeah.
I'm a kid. What a dummy. I mean, bless his heart. He brought me in. He took me out. But it's one thing to be a good guy, another thing to be a bad guy. But that was just, he was a jerk doing that.
Yeah.
It made me the face of the rebellion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So.
And Stitch, there's another memory that I had also too, and it's actually with Bad Chaz. We were in Las Vegas, and like you said, the bubble. It was one of the first fights, I believe, that was open to fans, and it was Josh Taylor, Jose Ramirez for the undisputed title. Oh. And you were there, and we were at Virgin Island Hotel?
Yeah.
And everybody was scared of COVID. Everybody didn't want to be around everybody, and we were, I think, talking to a couple people, and they kind of didn't really want nothing to do with us because of the whole COVID situation. Well, we seen you pass by, and we waved at you, and you don't probably remember this, but we got a good little conversation with you, and we took a picture with you, and you were just so cool to talk, to interact with. And like I said, that just made me and Bad Chaz's day. And we thank you again for that because, like I said, we were getting the cold shoulder, not just with maybe celebrities, but also with like clerks, with just everybody in that area. It was just COVID. Nobody knew what it was. And you were one guy to, still take the time and talk to us and kind of get to meet us. And I'll never forget that. And I thank you for that.
I tell you, I got stories for everything, right? So the number one, I've always been like this. My parents, our family has always been giving, right? Mm-hmm. But if you guys remember, Randall Cunningham was the quarterback for the Philadelphia 76ers. Yes. And
Eagles, yeah.
I was still living in the Bay Area, and I came down here. I think Dennis Alexio fought. It's a kickboxing fight here at the in Las Vegas. And you know how you go to the after fight party and all that. So me and my three brothers, at that point I was still Jacob. Me and my three brothers are talking to Randall Cunningham, and one of these guys comes up and says, "Hey, Randall, come here, man. I need to talk to you." He says, "Hold on." He goes, "Let me finish talking to these guys." Bro, I never felt so important in my life. And, you know, I figured I was always going to be like that. Now, he's a pastor here in Las Vegas, and I've never met him. And I've told this story again many times. But when I meet him, and I know I will, I'm going to say, you know what? You just kind of reinforce that this is the way you want to treat people. Yes. So that's why I always try to give you respect, man.
Thank you.
Awesome.
You did.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Bad Chaz.
Hey, man, I appreciate everything you're telling us and the opportunity you're giving us. You know, you tell us your story about, you know, coming up and how people didn't want to share what they were doing. And here you are, you know, giving back just because of your experiences. And I want to say thank you, and I respect that. And I'm just happy to see my guys here just having a really good time with talking to you. And we can't wait to show our fans. Going back a few steps and talking about boxing, what are some of your most memorable moments in the professional boxing and working some of the corners and maybe some title fights or something that was just in the moment? What really just stands out to you in your mind throughout your career?
Yeah, well, you know, there's volumes of them, of course, right? And but one that really kind of floats up to the top is now this is in boxing, right? So because I was with Vladimir Klitschko for 8 years, him and Vitaly, I worked with them both for 8 years, right? And Vladimir's fighting Anthony Joshua at Wembley Stadium, 90,000 people, biggest heavyweight fight in years. And I get there Thursday night because my daughter Carla had gotten married on Wednesday. So I left Thursday, got to the fights Friday, but I didn't see Vladimir and Vitaly till the weigh-ins. So we're in the dressing room and we're talking about how you doing, anything, you know, just going over details. And then finally at the end, I put my hand on Vladimir. I said, "Look, Vladimir, don't worry about nothing tomorrow. I'm going to take care of you like you're my son." And I leave because I know deep inside that night before the fight, these guys can't sleep. Man, here I am, Bad Chaz. I'm putting the Vaseline on Vladimir right before Michael Buffer does the announcements in front of 90,000 people, bro. Wow. And he's about this far away from me, and he says, "You could call me son." Bro, yeah, that's worth $1 million.
Uh-huh.
Right. He calls me after the fights, "Hey, Daddy." You know. Months later, I ran into him in Germany, and very simply, I said, "Vladimir, that moment, why?" He says, "Stitch," he goes, "there's very few people I trust in my life. You are one of them." Wow. And you know, right now he's in a battle.
Ukraine
with him and Vitaly. So you know, I pray for them every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here. Prayers out to Ukraine.
So that's boxing. What do you want for MMA? I'm gonna tell you anyway. All right. So you know, and like one of the things that I do, and I really mean it, is I tell these guys, because these guys, even though you're gladiators, deep inside you're all babies, right? Mm-hmm. I know that, you know that. My job is to take care of the baby. I let them know. I said, "Look, I'm gonna take care of you like you're my son." But this all transpired when Anderson Silva fought Rashad Evans, and he won the world title from Rashad. And if you remember, his father was very shogun, he's very Japanese, you know, sat there with a kimono and just very proud Japanese man. After the fights, I go in the dressing room because I always work with Lyoto from day one, wrapped his hands, worked his corners. After the fights, I go in the dressing room and I say, "Congratulations, you know, Lyoto, congratulations, I'm proud of you." And in front of his father, bro, he says, "Tish, in the ring, you are my father." And bro, and his father just kind of acknowledged, like, yes, you know. Carol Parisian, I mean, I got tons. He fought Drew Fickett and ended up with a big old gash here, and Manny Gambarian's working the corner. I didn't even know Manny at that point. And but they all freaked out. And my job, because I was a coach before, my job as a Cutman is not to give instructions. But at that point, because Carol Parisian's looking at the big screen up there, and he sees a cut and he goes like this, and people are, "Oh!" oh. So they're freaking out, right? So I take it upon myself and to be the coach. And I said, look, Carol, because I love these guys. Look, don't worry about nothing. I got the cut under control. Stay on the stand up. So he stood on the stand up, and he ended up winning the fight. So months later, we're doing a fight at the MGM, and he's in the audience, and I go and say hi to him, and how you doing? And his father looks at me, and they're Armenian, very much like Mexicans, very family. Mm-hmm. He says, I want to thank you for taking care of my son. He goes, you are always welcome to my house.
No, that's awesome, man.
That's beautiful.
The I love yous and all that.
Yes.
That's great.
That's
man.
what it's all about, Stitch. Yeah.
That's what makes my job so exciting. It's not even a job.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Stitch. Like I say, you are an inspiration to us all, not only Latinos, but all people. Those are values that, each of us can wholeheartedly accept and hopefully spread around, to the world, the positivity that is to be nice to your fellow man. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to give back. With that said, we want to thank you, Stitch, again for coming on to the DL Boxing Podcast. We appreciate your time, and hopefully, we could talk again. Maybe after your what is it, your movie or something, right?
Yeah, we got to talk about the Creed movie because it's pretty interesting, man. So thanks for having me on, guys. You guys did a great job, and like you guys, it's the only way to go is up, man. So si se puede.
Si se puede, exactamente. Yeah.
Thank you, Stitch, so much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, it's time to recap the fight that happened last weekend, where we had a Showtime card with the main event featuring Sebastian Fundora scoring a unanimous decision over Carlos Ocampo. Bad Chaz, how'd you see that fight, brother?
Oh, you know what, man? I kind of anticipated Fundora to kind of be a little more of a tall fighter throughout this fight.
Tall he is.
But it just seemed like in the beginning, it seemed like Ocampo, he was kind of doing he was using his small stature in a well way. He found his way inside, and he was making good connections with Fundora. Fundora was still making some good contact, but I felt like he wasn't fighting like a tall fighter like he should have been. He wasn't using it to his advantage. And then as there was middle rounds, later rounds where there was probably more exchanging than I would have liked to see. But at the same time, it was nice to see that Fundora can do that if he needs to.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
he stayed inside a little too long, right?
Yeah, I think that's nice that he can do that. But I feel like that might eventually be his downfall at the same time, especially if he's going to face some bigger names in that division.
Right. What do you say to that?
You know what? I totally agree because the first 2-3 rounds, I kind of seen like Sebastian kind of keeping him at bay, dude, with that jab and that reach. And then all of a sudden, from 1 minute to the next, he's inside.
Yeah.
And he's just banging with this dude. And that's the only time like Ocampo flourished was when he was able to exchange in close quarters. Because before he, like you said, he was shooting up.
Yeah,
he kept trying to, just these weird like jabs he was throwing. Like he was almost like lunging in. And Sebastian, I mean, if he caught onto it, he could have just timed him when he was coming in and just, because he has power. But for him to fight inside, it's just like you only fight inside when you want to do some dirty boxing, when you have that reach and that length. You know what I mean? So yeah, dude, it just was kind of odd for me to see him just want to bang so much with this other guy.
Right.
And maybe that's what he knows, and he reverts back to instinct. But at the same time, that's not going to help him beat these bigger names, man.
And then Fundora's last fight, that's kind of what he was doing, and it looked like he had kind of got a little more hurt in his last fight,
right?
And then he was kind of doing the same thing this time around, and I mean, it's just it's nice that he can do that, but at the same time, like I think that he has some qualities that his taller fighter that he could use to his advantage. And if he can polish that out, I feel like that's gonna take him a little further.
Yeah, the discipline to stay tall, go behind the jab, use the length is what he's gonna need, because he is the mandatory to fight the winner between Charlo and Zhu. So the winner, Charlo right now is the undisputed champ at 154. So the winner between Charlo and Zhu is mandated to fight Fundora. So Fundora needs to, in my opinion, work on staying disciplined, fighting tall behind the jab, and do what works for him or what's in his best interest.
Yeah,
if he is to succeed.
One thing that I noticed with Sebastian when he was talking, to like people that were interviewing him, is that he wanted to stick to his game plan. And so did he have two different styles in his game plan?
Right.
Because that's what we see.
Or maybe he got bored, right? He like you say, it might be instinct. He loves to.
I mean,
to fight in the
discipline. You have to
inside.
stay disciplined. You have to stick to that game
Especially
plan.
to a top
game
tier.
plan.
Yeah.
Yes, you do, man.
Tier. But he scored the unanimous decision, right? So it's it's a learning experience for him. He can definitely learn from from whatever mistakes he saw in that fight, and move on to the next, which is the top of the top.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right. So that was it for this past weekend, guys. Well, it's fight week. All right, guys. This Saturday is an action-packed weekend full of fights from morning till midnight. We're gonna have fights all day. Starting off in the morning, we're gonna have that ladies' night that was rescheduled about 5 weeks ago. We previewed, we gave our preview and our predictions for the Mikaela Mayer versus Alycia Baumgardner and Claressa Shield versus Savannah Marshall. For our fans out there, refer to episode 5.
Oh, another great episode.
A great episode, guys.
Yeah,
So
it was
episode
awesome.
5
Yeah.
Good time, guys.
for our analysis and predictions. All right. Moving on, guys, to the big pay-per-view on Fox via Premier Boxing Champion. We have the return of Deontay Wilder. But first, let's talk about the co-main event, which is the return of Caleb Plant versus Anthony Dirrell. Of course, Caleb Plant coming off his big loss to Canelo Alvarez. This is his first fight back. He made a little bit of changes in his corner. He's brought on Breadman Edwards as the main trainer, which I think is a good choice. How do you guys see that fight, Neighborhood Hero Ryan Rios?
You know what? This is an interesting fight for me. I definitely like watching Caleb Plant, and then also like Anthony Dog Dirrell, dude, is just, dude, he can go in there and brawl, dude.
Yeah, powerhouse.
I mean, this is hard to call for me. I think Anthony Dirrell is kind of like on the downside of his career. He's, I want to say 38 years old, and maybe Father Time might be catching up with him. You know what I mean? And I want to say like Caleb Plant might just box circles around him, dude. Anthony Dirrell, he's gonna he has the title, right?
No,
right?
I don't believe so. No, undisputed. Canelo's undisputed at that.
Oh, at that weight division?
So none of them have belts. Yep.
Okay, I don't know what I was seeing.
No,
then.
he's a former titleist.
Titleist for sure.
Both of them.
Well, anyway, I mean, I want to say Caleb Plant, dude, has an advantage in this fight just because he's younger, he's quicker, he's faster.
Yeah.
He actually did fairly well against Canelo, but I mean, Anthony Dirrell, he's going to have to start early. He's going to have to just bring that dog out. He's just going to have to pressure.
Yeah, and they have some real animosity, which I like, coming up to this fight. So, Bad Chaz, who do you favor in this fight?
I'm going to probably favor Caleb Plant, but if for some reason Anthony Dirrell can figure him out and cut him off, I feel like cutting him off is going to probably be the only advantage and deliver that power. I feel like, he's definitely has more power than Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant's just the craftier, slicker fighter.
The boxer.
Lateral movement boxer.
Right.
I feel like, this is going to be one of those fights where Caleb, is just going to use the ring to his advantage and kind of let Anthony just kind of tire out and then do his thing with him later on.
Right, because and then one of the question mark, with fighters always coming back from losses is, did they learn from that loss, or are they the worse for it? Right, we don't know what their psyche is. Right, they can come back and maybe get hit once, and all of a sudden, they're on Bambi legs, and so that's gonna be a question mark for Caleb Plant. See how he returns back from a loss. Is he better for it or is he worse for it? You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the questions. Yeah. And I think Dirrell needs to jump on him and see if he can, answer that question for us.
Yeah.
And this fight's going to answer a lot of questions too, I think, for Benavidez. Right. David Benavidez, like Senior was saying that he wants, or actually Caleb Plant promised him the next fight.
That's right.
So we're going to see, how this plays out, and we're going to get like somewhat of an idea of what can transpire when he fights Benavidez. So
I hope so.
Interesting fight again, dude. I'm definitely looking forward to it, dude. I can't wait to see this fight. And, we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
but I'm picking Caleb Plant.
Yeah, I think we're going to say we're all picking
split decision.
Split decision.
Split decision.
Okay, I'm picking Plant by unanimous decision.
Yeah, I would probably say unanimous.
Yeah.
I don't think Plant's going to win by a knockout, but I think he's going to win by the.
Although he might have a chance, but the safe pick is unanimous decision. Yeah. All right, guys. And then, like I said, the main event of that card is the return of Bomb Squad. That's right. Deontay Wilder versus Robert Helenius. Oh man, Deontay Wilder is must-see TV.
Right.
Brother, I just love tuning into his fights because you know what you're gonna get, right?
Right.
Either he's gonna wipe the floor with someone, or or in the event if
Someone's
that guy's
going
better,
down.
someone's going down, right?
Yeah.
Wilder's a warrior. He gets back up. But I think Wilder should have his another spectacular knockout to his highlight reel in this one within 3 rounds. I think. What do you think, Neighborhood Hero Ryan Rios?
You know what? I don't count Robert Helenius out, honestly.
Yeah, right.
He's looked good the last couple of fights that he's fought. And, Deontay Wilder, he just has this cannon that he always has locked and loaded, man. And that thing can come anytime it wants, when it wants, how it wants.
And he needs to let it go, right?
He needs to let it go. But if Robert starts fast and he catches him and he hurts him, like... It's hard to say what can happen.
Because either way, he's getting knocked out, right? If he doesn't let go of it, he's still getting hit.
Yeah, he's going to get hit regardless.
Right. So
he's going to get touched, and we'll see how he takes that shot. But if he can start early and hurt Wilder, it's anybody's game.
Right. Yeah. Take it to him.
I want to see Wilder win, but at the same time, I'm not counting Robert out because he's looked good his last couple of fights. He's big, dude. He's strong.
Right,
He's decent fighter, man. It's not just a pushover
Any
fight.
big man has power, right? They connect just right.
And if Wilder knocks him out and it's impressive, then he's back.
Yeah, right.
And I can't wait to see who he fights next. You know what I mean?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Robert Helenius just needs to let it go, man. Because if anything that Fury has taught us about fighting Wilder is you give yourself the best chance to win by going forward to Wilder, right?
Yeah.
Because Deontay has the trouble, fighting on his back foot. And like we said, if you keep shy to yourself, you're still going to get hit by the right hand. If you give yourself a shot, you're still probably going to get hit by the right hand, but at least you give yourself a chance to land on Wilder's chin.
This fight, you're going to have to roll the dice, man.
Yeah. What do you think?
Pick your poison with them.
Chaz?
You know what? These guys are nothing new to each other. They're behind the scenes. They're working out with each other. I mean, they know each other's weaknesses. They know each other's
right. They spar each
strengths.
other behind the scenes. Yeah.
I still, I'm kind of just going towards Wilder for this one. I think he might have the edge. I think he kind of knows that he needs to use a little more lateral movement. I think that him fighting Tyson Fury, it's brought him some high mileage, but at the same time, he's fought somebody that's kind of a little awkward. This guy that he's fighting, Robert, he's going to be probably a little more of a standard fighter. Which might be a little bit more of a benefit to Wilder fighting him, a little more predictable. But I wouldn't let your guard down against him. I feel like he's still dangerous. He's a heavyweight. He's got heavy hands.
Anything can happen.
Anything he lands is going to be dangerous. So just always be cautious of that. And then I feel like it's just a stepping stone to Andy Ruiz. And it's just kind of like if you can get through this guy and then line up Ruiz. 2 big paydays for Wilder. Keep Wilder valid. He's entertaining. He has a big following. I feel like it's just going to be good for the heavyweight division.
Yeah, well said. Prediction, I'm going to say Wilder takes a couple of rounds to warm up, from the year off, layoff, and then KTFO's Helenius in the 3rd round.
Okay. I say Robert Helenius hurts Wilder, and it takes Wilder a little bit to recover, and he ends up knocking him out like in the later rounds, 9th, 10th round.
Who ends up knocking who out?
Wilder knocks out Helenius.
Okay.
Late rounds.
That sounds like a war.
War, man. It's going to be a good fight.
I'm going to probably say anywhere between the 5th and the 7th, Wilder lands the knockout.
All right, we're in for a treat then. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, I like it too.
All right, guys. And then the final fight that we look forward to this Saturday on ESPN Plus, we have the rematch between undisputed lightweight champion of the world, Devin the Dream Haney. He will take on George Kambosos for the 2nd time in the rematch. Is it repeat or revenge?
I don't know. Whenever I first heard that there was a rematch clause and they were going to fight again.
Yeah.
I was just like, why is it happening again? But this weekend's coming up.
It's in the contract.
This weekend's coming up, and it's just full of boxing. And I love these weekends where it's like, you know what, you got to borrow your neighbor's TV, you got to borrow your mother-in-law's TV, and you got to run all your TVs.
You got to turn all the kids' video games off, so all the Wi-Fi's working.
Right. It's like, no, we don't have time to watch football. We're watching boxing. I'm more excited about this fight. I feel like this one's probably going to be better than the first fight. I feel like, they're going to bring out the better version of each other.
Right.
There's not so much back and forth talk. I feel like Kambosos, though, he can't really take any rounds off. He's gonna have to stay on the pedal from start to finish. I feel like Haney has the edge, but Kambosos, he's surprised us in the past. So I don't want to say that he's not worth anything, or he's not gonna. I feel like he might have some tricks in the bag. You know what I mean? So I've seen Haney get hit before. You know what I mean? And it startled him. So I mean, if Kambosos can have that lucky shot, you know what I mean? Like it can change the pace. You know what I mean? And all it really takes is one hit. You hit somebody. This game's 75% mental.
Yeah.
You land the right shot on somebody, and you change the direction of the fight, and then you start dictating it. That's all it takes.
Yeah, right.
One shot. That you got the guy's mental game, and then if Kambosos can do that to Haney, I mean, you can have a long night on your hands. But if Haney can stay back and play it safe and box him and work him, I feel like it's going to be Haney's game. Haney's game. He's the American, but at the same time, nothing against Kambosos.
Yeah, yeah. Neighborhood hero Ryan Rios. You agree with Chad? Bad Chad?
You know what, dude? Good point. Because when you talk about the mental part of the game, dude, a lot of people don't see that. And with Kambosos, dude, he's a talker, dude. He has this like nostalgic way about him where he just comes up with these just one-liners, dude, and you believe him, dude. You're like, dude, I want to see that. And dude, you might be right, dude. You might be able to do that. And my thing is, dude, if Devin Haney like pretty much just sticks to what he did last fight, he should be okay. You know what I mean? Like, what can Kambosos do to disrupt Haney?
Right.
You know what I mean? Other than that mental part, you know what I mean? But I think Kambosos is more just quiet this fight, dude. He's not saying a whole lot. He's just making sure his physical part's right, his mental part's right. But dude, Haney is just talented, dude. He's another special fighter, dude. He's smart. He has the right people in his camp, dude. Yeah. And if Haney sticks to what he did the first time, dude, and sticks to what he knows, I just don't see Kambosos like getting anywhere near him, dude, and just getting dotted up. And Kambosos is gonna have to go for brokes, dude. He's gonna have to try to land some power shots. Right. He's gonna have to try to get inside,
rough him up, something.
Yeah, even if he have to take a shot to land a shot, definitely he's gonna have to do that, dude. So,
I feel like Haney's gonna kind of dictate a lot of it, and I feel like Kambosos is probably gonna search for that perfect counter. You know what I mean? To kind of disrupt him. It's going to be a high-speed chess match, so anybody that's watching it, just don't get up and just pay attention, because it's going to be something that you got up to go blow your nose, and you missed the highlight. Like what happened? Why is this guy like sitting over there in the corner now? I think it's going to be a great fight. I'm looking forward to it. It's probably one of the. It's kind of crept up on me, At first, I was just wondering, why is it happening again?
Dude, it was a quick turnaround too.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to watch it for some reason.
Yeah,
it's probably one of my most desired fights this weekend.
Yeah, they're both warriors. They both have a tough mentality.
135 pounds.
Yeah, and
it's just going to be one of those things. Like, you watch it, and then you're going to already know the next day what's the talk going to be about.
Yeah, right. And who can you match this guy up with, and who's next? And it's just a great time right now, dude.
All right, man. With that said, I'm gonna predict that it is repeat. Devin Haney will make it look even easier this time, and win another unanimous decision.
Yeah, I definitely think Haney's gonna beat him. But man, I would love for him to stop Kambosos, dude. But it's in Australia. It's in Australia. Stranger things can have happened, dude. And I pick Haney by split decision this time.
I'll go Haney as well. Decision.
Good pick.
Yeah. But at the same time, I like the unpredictable. That happened.
That's why
I love boxing.
We're gonna tune in because we're gonna see what adjustments Kambosos has made for this fight, right? Because he's the one that really needs to make the changes to be more competitive.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, guys. With that said, welcome to our next segment, which I call Boxing Career Tragedies. This is a little history from the DL Boxing Podcast to you guys. Boxing, as great memories as it makes for all of us and enjoyment, does have its bad side, its sad side. And we're going to tell you some stories or some, about fighters that ultimately ended up, in the tragedy of death and such. You want me to go first, guys?
Yeah.
Kick it off. Okay, let me go ahead and kick it off. Let's start with the Venezuelan Edwin Valero. This guy was an aggressive firefighting machine at 130 and 135. This guy racked up a record of 27 wins, no losses, all 27 by way of knockout. So this guy was, the real deal, man. He was just wrecking everybody in his division. One of his goals was to fight Manny Pacquiao because at that time, 2009, 2010, Pacquiao was around that division and he wanted so badly to fight Manny Pacquiao. That was his dream match. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be. He slipped mentally. Something happened where he murdered his wife. Ooh. And while in prison, he hung himself, committed suicide. Right. So, with that said, guys, the mental state of our boxers, we see them as heroes. We see them as superheroes, as people are doing great things. But at the end of the day, we should all know that they're just human, just like you and I, right? Yeah. And they suffer the same, mental issues that the everyday person may have. But that sad story, is tragic. This guy was going to go move on to greater and bigger things, man. Just a wonderful champion to watch in the ring, and it's just sadly that things turned out that way, man.
It's kind of like you could be at an all-time peak, man, and then it's a slippery slope.
Right, and the next thing you're reading in the tab, like, what?
The very bottom.
Mm-hmm. He did what? Right, yeah.
You just never know what people are going through, man. Like even if they're on some high pedestal or high caliber.
They're still human just like us, right? The relationship issues, you name it, right?
Yeah.
Substance abuse issues.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's round robin here, guys. Neighborhood hero Ryan Rios. What's your boxing career tragedy?
You know what? I'll go with Paul Williams, man. And it's funny because I was going through a little rough patch in my life, dude. And my buddy called me up. His name is Raul Gomez, dude, a good childhood friend of mine. And he calls me up. It was like a Friday. He's like, dude, pack your bags. We're going to go watch Margarito and Paul Williams fight at the StubHub Center.
That's right.
Actually, at that time, it was Home Depot Center, I think. The Punch Bowl. All you guys know it is probably the Punch Bowl. So I'm like, all right, he didn't tell me, hey, do you want to go? Or, hey, hey, I got these tickets. Do you think you're interested? No, he just said, I'm picking you up. Let's go. I got tickets. Let's go. So I packed my bags and I fall asleep. And, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm a boxing fan. I love boxing. Margarito at the time was like on the up, dude. Yep. We all loved watching Margarito. He was just a brawler, dude, from Mexico. Pressure fighter, just tough, man, tough as nails. So we end up going, to LA and we stay at his brother's and we end up making our way to like Anaheim, and then we go pick up a friend in Compton, and then we go to like Torrance. We're just all over the place, right? Just picking up people left and right, dude. It was a great time. So like we're walking into the venue, dude, and I kid you not, dude, we probably seen more fights walking into the fight than we did at the actual fight, dude. We seen fights in the parking lot. We seen fights in the restroom, dude. We seen fights just at the concession stand, dude. It was just wild, bro. Right. We're all just like, damn, dude, this is crazy. It's entertaining, but at the same time, we're like, we better stay away from that, dude. We want to watch the Margarito Paul Williams fight. You know what I mean? So we end up making our way to our seats, dude, and we got to watch a couple, of the co-main events and stuff, good fights. So, the fight starts, right? And from the opening bell, dude, just Paul Williams just comes just crazy, just letting his hands fly, dude, from nonstop. From the first round to the 12th round, he just let his hands fly, dude. And he ended up beating Margarito, dude, on points, dude, just outpointing him. Just looked good, dude, just looked great, man. And we're all just like, wow, what just happened? Margarito held the title, dude. Margarito was supposed to win.
He was the best version of Margarito.
He beat the best version, dude. Margarito at his prime, dude. You know what I mean? And we're all just like, damn, just shocked, dude. People are pissed, dude. We're walking out. We're still seeing fights, dude. And I'm just like, wow, dude, who was that Paul Williams? Because I didn't know a whole lot about him before the fight, dude. I just figured, Margarito was just a tune-up fight to fight maybe Canelo or Cotto or I think another one was, gosh darn it, the one who beat De La Hoya, Mosley.
Sean.
So he was Shane Mosley, Sugar Shane, and so he was gonna get all those guys, right? And so I just like, you know what, dude, I like the way Paul Williams was after the fight, dude. He gave props to everybody, dude. And I just became a fan of Paul Williams, dude.
Yep.
And so I started following Paul Williams, dude. And then he ended up like just going into some wars, dude. He was just always letting his hands fly, dude. Every fight that he fought was entertaining, dude. And he had some fights with like Sergio Martinez where he won one, lost one. And then he fought, there was another fighter,
who was it? This is a Mexican fighter, huh?
Another Mexican fighter, dude. Again, where it was like he beat him, and then the guy beat him, and it just, dude. Paul Williams just a class act, dude. Yep. And then he ended up winning another few fights, and then he was in camp for Canelo, dude.
That's right,
and, dude.
Bro.
I was just excited, man. I'm like, hell yeah, dude. He's gonna get a shot at Canelo, dude. This is gonna be a war. And then out of the blue, dude, like I was reading something. I don't know if it was in the paper or maybe a buddy told me. He's like, dude, you hear about Paul Williams? You know, like he was in a motorcycle accident. Dude's paralyzed. He's never going to fight again. And I'm just like, wow, dude, are you serious? Sure enough, dude, I look it up and yeah, dude, he got into a motorcycle accident, dude. He's paralyzed. He never recovered. But one thing that stands out, again, is just his mental state. And dude, he's just a super humble, super grateful, just super good attitude, man. And if you follow this guy, guys, you'll see nothing but humbleness. You'll see nothing but just gratefulness. And to this day, dude, he's still like just counting his blessings, man. He's in a wheelchair. One of the greatest fighters that I've seen, dude. Yeah. And you know, just watching him, dude, just one of the best fighters that I've seen in person, dude. And now that he's in a wheelchair, he's still trying to fight that fight, dude. He's still active in the boxing community, dude. He's still trying to promote fights. He's still trying to like make a name for other fighters, dude. And just great story, dude. And just an inspiration to me, dude. And I still follow him. I'd love to meet him. And just he's just a tragic story, man, because of the person he was.
Yeah, you know that's awesome, man. Yeah, it's things like that, you know, that kind of keep us grounded, huh?
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right on, man.
Right on, man.
That's an awesome story.
Yeah, bad Chaz.
You know what? I'm gonna pick Arturo Gatti.
Arturo Thunder Gatti. Yeah,
yeah. You know what? I think he was like originally from like Italy. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then he came over here to the States and went to.
I want to say he went to Canada.
Canada, and then to like Jersey.
Jersey, there you
go. Started fighting over here, and you know, fought some famous names. You know, he fought Floyd Mayweather, and you know, he had a pretty good record, but. You know, he probably wasn't the best fighter up against some of the bigger names, but he had a good record.
Fan-friendly fighter, man.
Everybody had to see him, dude.
Right?
You knew you were going to get a treat.
Oh, I'm tuning in, or I'll be there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Action packed. Yeah.
So you know, anyways, there happened to be like a suspicious death, you know, and you know, pending the autopsy and stuff that of the death of Gatti. They weren't sure if it was a suicide or a homicide.
Right. And still to this day, right?
Yeah,
that's in question.
I mean, I think they deemed it and closed the case suicide, but
so like he was on a vacation or something with his wife, was it?
They always suspected the wife of being the suspect of the homicide and stuff. So. It's always been just kind of a unknown circumstance to this day what the cause of death was, and I mean it just has everybody kind of wrapped around the confusion.
Right. It's always shocking to hear, you know, like, what, he died? What do you mean?
And he was one of the greatest fighters to do it. You know, so I mean. Yeah, that's my pick, and I mean, if you ever get a chance, man, check out that story and look into it because it's kind of just a overnight bizarre situation.
Yeah. Definitely a tragic ending, man.
Yeah.
Definitely a tragic
to a
ending.
superstar, man.
Yeah. Anything can happen to anybody, man. So don't take anything for granted and stay grounded, like because you know we're not guaranteed anything.
Yeah,
right, exactly. All right, man. I'm gonna end this segment with somebody else that you guys should know about. So imagine a heavyweight with the power and the ferocity of Mike Tyson, the footwork, the speed, the agility, the chin, the ring IQ of Evander Holyfield. Ooh. And you got Ike Ibeabuchi. Ike Ibeabuchi was a heavyweight in the 90s, compiled a record of 20-0 with 15 knockouts. One of his standout bouts was when he faced the then undefeated David Tua, who was the Samoan Mike Tyson at that at that time, man. He would knock out everybody with one shot, man. And, this guy was deadly. He fought Ike Ibeabuchi. They went 12 rounds, back and forth war, bro. He was taking David Tua's punches like, they were like, pillows. They set the record for the most punches thrown in the heavyweight fight, adding over 1,700 punches. So those boys had stamina. He had stamina, and he ends up beating the then undefeated David Tua, which was impressive. Like David Tua was on the road to become champion, and here's this little known Ike Ibeabuchi, withstanding those power shots like they were nothing, and beating David Tua, out hustling him, out punching him, unbelievable. We're like, holy cow, we have a new contender in the heavyweight division, right? This guy might be able to beat Lennox Lewis. He might be able to beat Mike Tyson, Holyfield, right? He checked all the boxes that you want from a heavyweight great, right? Another notable win from Ike Ibeabuchi was, and this was his last fight, was beating then undefeated Chris Bird.
Oh, yeah.
Chris Bird was, for a heavyweight, very agile, very fast on his feet. Not hard to catch. I mean, hard to catch. But Ike Ibeabuchi caught up to him and knocked him out. Gave him his first loss. And now we're really like, oh, this guy's a real deal, right? This guy's looking. But it was not to be, guys. Unfortunately, he committed sexual assault and another string of other crimes that he got arrested for. And he got put away in prison for the next 17 years. And so thus his career tragically ended there. He was released when he was about, I want to say 42 years old, 44 years old. But he never, by then, it's done. You know what I'm saying? But this guy, guys, Ike Ibeabuchi, if you don't know him, look him up. Look up his highlights. Very impressive heavyweight that had all the tools to become the next great, man. But unfortunately, again, the mental slip up, or there are human deficiencies caught up to him and put him away, man. So, and I believe, is it mental health month this month?
I'm not sure.
Is it or something? I thought I saw Tyson Fury post something. But again, guys, I just want to bring that up because mental illness is a real thing, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is a real thing. And, if you can help anybody that's in that state, guys, please lend a hand and talk to them.
Whether it's men's mental health, women's mental health.
Everybody,
it exists everywhere. So,
yeah.
Just recognize it and raise awareness, man. Because, I mean, we're supporting everyone, you know what I mean? Like, people, everyday walks of life or high athletes.
It affects everybody.
It exists in all of us.
Yeah. We all can help each other out too, dude. Inspiration is huge, man. You know what I mean? You look up these guys that are inspirational, man, and you'll find ways to maybe somewhat combat it or just look at another approach to how to deal with it. So I mean, it's sad.
Absolutely.
And it's just help each other out.
Yep. Identify it and make some adjustments and you know what I mean? Go from there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Tomorrow's a new day.
Exactly. Well said, guys. And I hope you guys enjoyed this segment, as tragic and sad as it is. But, we wanted to bring light to they are human just as you and I.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. With that said, that concludes our podcast. Shout outs. We definitely want to give some shout outs to the Brick House Boxing Club. Give a shout out to Ian, Jesse Vargas, Gerald Washington. Let's see who else. Scrappy Ramirez, Zurdo Ramirez.
Yeah.
You guys were super cool. Thank you for letting us hang out. I guess I'm sure you guys were saying well, what are these three stooges doing out there, man?
Mo, Harry, and Larry.
Yeah, right. How do we get rid of these guys, man? Just show, go out there for a minute or two. No, but we greatly appreciate your guys' hospitality. Also, I want to give a shout out to Fortune Gym. Alyssa, who greeted us there at the front.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Thank you, Alyssa. You were very gracious and very kind to us. Also, the Wild Card Boxing Gym.
Yeah,
right?
that was amazing.
I want to give a shout out to Wild Card Boxing. Marie, she's the manager at the Wild Card Boxing gym. It was nice spending a little time with Freddie Roach and checking out the gym. And
thank you, Freddie.
Yeah, thank you, Freddie, very much, man. It's just really nice pleasure to spend some time with you and check out your gym. That was an awesome experience for everyone. And Marie, the manager, showed us around, upstairs, downstairs.
The presidential tour, man.
That was very cool. Thank you, Marie.
newer version of the gym, and then the new store that they're designing and stuff. I just want to say thank you very much for the T-shirts that you guys gave us and showing us around and treating us like, just friends from yesterday or something.
Right.
That was an awesome experience. And anybody that gets a chance to go out there, go check it out. Great people. You won't regret it. It was a great experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Neighborhood hero Ryan Rios.
You know what? Again, dude, like I've been to those gyms before, dude, and I got the same treatment. Like that wasn't my first time being there. It was, like I've been there before, dude, and every time's a great experience, man. Like great people, dude, just great atmosphere, dude. Just you feel like you're one of them, you know what I mean? And it's just a great community to be involved in. You know what I mean? So thank you again, guys. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I want to thank, again, dude, Bad Boy Visuals, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I talk to them, and they're always like willing to, just, put us up on what's new, what's going on. And, there's another guy, Rick Nunez out of South Park Boxing Academy in San Antonio, who's just doing great things. He's actually one of the trainers for Mario Barrios' camp.
Oh, nice.
And just doing good things, dude. Just helping out like the local kids, man. And just these guys are really, really good people, man. And from San Antonio. And I know we've been to Texas before to go watch Virgil fight, dude. And we just felt like we were at home, dude.
Yeah.
They make us feel welcome, dude. It's just a great atmosphere, great environment. And so, again, I just want to say thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate everything. And so, we look forward again to talking to you guys soon.
Absolutely.
Right. And before I forget, also very cool Ellie Setback.
Yes,
He took
yes.
the time to talk to us. Like we were just some
Yeah.
cool guys, you know what I'm saying, over there at the Brick House Boxing Club. Thank you, Ellie.
Thank you very much, Ellie.
For your time, man. That was very cool.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, man. Like always, sound guy Rob, thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
Camera
Thanks,
guy
Rob.
Liam, thank you very much.
Liam.
And with that said, I am Coach D, along with neighborhood hero Ryan Rios and Bad Chaz, and we're out.